afternoon. With the Subaru chopped up and gone, I finally got time to do a bit on the other cars and hopefully get them finished. So today, I'm doing the merch. I've removed a fucking shitload of stuff. Aircon, plastic crap, trim, just stuff I definitely don't need. And it's now looking like that. And that, which you can hopefully see, is a front mount. It's the front mount off my old Subaru. Chinese special, but is pretty big and thick and is proven at over 500 brake. And with a lot of chopping, it fits pretty well. I'll show you it now with the bumper off. Right, this is it with the bumper removed. There's the bumper. Need to do a bit more tidying on that. I only quickly butchered it with an angle grinder, but it's mostly there. And on this piece of shit, I don't really care. But yeah, this is what I did. Basically, I didn't want to remove the old slam panel because it allowed me bolt up the intercooler really, so I just cut away most of it rather than the whole lot, which is pretty much how the standard fitment on this is. On the Subaru, it's got like a aftermarket bracket thing, slam panel. You remove the original one, which goes straight across, and you fit one that looks like this. So I just cut the shit out of this with reciprocating saw and angle grinder, and done this, and it bolts with the original how it is on the Subaru, with two up there and there's two at the back as well. So yeah, fits quite nice. Pretty chuffed with that. Well, not chuffed, but it's a lot less ball ache than I expected it would be. Darcy's new toy, a fucked up old rag that she likes. Well, it was a heavy duty glove, but nothing's heavy duty for her. Anyway, I've been cracking on with the front end of the low budget turbo V8 Mercedes. Obviously I've got the intercooler, which I've shown you, but I've been doing a lot more smaller things, pretty much all costing me zero, but I think will be pretty important. First thing I'll show you is the inlet manifold. I planned to take the lid off just to make sure it was all working inside and clean it up and modify a few of the ports that I no longer need. But now I've taken it apart, I've changed a few more things, and it's really interesting how it works, so you guys will probably like to see that anyway. It's magnesium, weirdly enough, so it's really light, but it's not something you can weld. But this is what's inside, and it's a strange old setup, but it's very good. It's basically a dual length runner setup, so as you probably know, long inlet runners is better for torque and low down power, and short inlet runners is better for high RPM power and torque basically. And this has got adjustable flaps which open at about, I think, 3,800 RPM or something like that as factory, to go from the long runners to the short runners. As you can see, it's fucking complicated. Basically, these here with the rags in are the inlet ports, and it runs a convoluted path when the flaps are shut, through there, up there, and into each port. And to get to there with the flaps shut, it goes right underneath. It's weird. It looks pretty bloody restrictive with the thing shut, to be honest. I'll take this off and show you the next bit. When they're open, it just goes through these flaps, so it comes in the throttle and into each one, so not too bad. Whereas normally it goes this ridiculous long looping thing, and it's getting to the ports in the first place. Oh, it's just ridiculous. It goes up and round and round and round, and yeah, it's a maze. But yeah, and these flaps, look, they're normally opened and shut by a vacuum actuator there, and that opens it up for the short path for high RPM power. It looks pretty restrictive, and I've seen people claiming with modified inlet manifolds they've gained like 25 horsepower, but I don't know what they've actually done. I've never seen actual pictures of it, but they say they've gained like 25 brake on the dyno with modified inlet manifolds. I don't know if they've removed all this or what, I don't know, but you can kind of see that while this might be good for sort of drivability, it's probably not the best for outright power. I know when this doesn't work as standard and is stuck open or stuck shut, especially stuck open, it loses low down power, and stuck shut it loses top end power. But you can imagine that, because it's pretty convoluted at the best of times. But because of all this, and because I don't think it really matters too much for my setup, I am gonna give it a go with it all removed. So basically, none of this at all. As good a design as it is literally gonna be a massive fucking empty plenum. It's still pretty nice as it is. It's just a big empty plenum, but it's got sort of guide vanes to the each port, and I reckon with boost, which I'm going to do, it's probably going to be fairly good. It will lose something low down, I'm sure, but I don't think it's a big deal. And anyway, I just want to fucking try it, but I'm confident it's not going to be bad, and it may be really good. I've removed the standard vacuum actuator thing there, which again is something that's prone to going wrong, and part of the reason I want to take it apart is because that little hole down there was the port to the vacuum actuator, and there's nowhere reaching it, right, taking the whole inlet off. And this allows me, I use some JB Weld or something to literally block that hole, and don't have to worry about it ever again. This I didn't trust that with boost at all to work properly. And again, I've got this port here on top of the throttle body that I will need modifying to either, I'll either block it up or reuse it for something different. On the actual inlet manifold lid, you got where the EGR used to go, which again I've completely removed, so I'll either blank that or reuse that for something else. That was the brake booster thing, which is actually broken, so I might have to probably maybe JB Weld that up, because there's no actual fitting on it. And obviously I can use that for stuff and that for stuff. And it's got two more ports there, so it's a pretty good, it's pretty handy. It just needs modifying a little bit. The next thing I noticed was the standard breather system is a bit crap. On the E55 turbo that we did before, we used pretty much the standard setup and it was okay, but I want to do it better this time. So what it was, the standard is, this is a breather from this bank of cylinders, and it just went across to that bank of cylinders, and then out of this single one that basically had to cope with the whole engine, 4.3 V8 whatever it is, and that just went back to the pre-throttle body, like basically a PCV system. Just a bit crap. I wouldn't say that would, it might be good for standard power, but for boost and stuff it can't be ideal. I mean, I'd love to have put a pressure gauge on the crankcase, but I bet you it was under pressure a fair bit. So what I was going to do was just run separate hoses from each of those and that to a catch can, and work it like that. I mean, again, these are pretty small outlets for a big V8, but you know, for this low budget setup it was easy enough to do. So I took both cam covers off because I wanted to reseal them anyway, because they seem to be leaking a little bit of oil from the seals, and the bit with the breather comes off as well. So I thought I'd take that off and have a look. I haven't cleaned it yet, and much to my surprise, I don't know if you can see, but while that outlet is not too bad a size, the actual thing on the other side is a pinhole, literally pinhole size, practically nothing, useless. I guess they did that to minimize the amount of oil or anything that's coming out, but that's kind of stopping it doing its proper job. So I'm gonna have to drill that out, which would be very simple and free, just drill in from there and open it out to the port size. But that is just ridiculous, 1 mil, and it's exactly the same on this one. 1mm, tiny little hose. There's a couple of other modifications I want to do to it as well, but that's the general gist of it. Shut up, Doris. We barking at? Idiot. But yeah, that is the modifications I'm going to make to that, and it should make it loads better. It might not be perfect, but it's as a completely free thing, it's ideal. Another thing I've got done, just to simplify things, is removed all the fake bulkhead that was there. Just a removable sort of metal plate and a load of sound deadening crap bulkhead, which I've done just to give me much more clearance, which is that, and it just helps me work on the bloody thing, to be honest. If you look here, that is where I've removed the EGR, and I'll blank that off. I just make a little plate and bolt that down to blank that off completely. And here, and exactly the same on the other side under there, is the air pump thing, which is again an emissions thing, and it had electric, like an electric supercharger, but it's an electric air pump there that blows air, a very small amount of air, into there at certain times. Again, just some stupid emissions bollocks, but it's all gone now. I'm going to again make some little blanking plates, block that off. I've removed the aircon, including the compressor, which was down there, so I'm going to need to knock up a shorter belt, but that's no big deal. I did that just to see what room I had for other stuff, and I've got plenty of room. It weighs a fair bit, but it's not like the be all and end all of it. Just like the Corolla, I'm highly likely to be using methanol as part of the fuel on boost, and seeing as the standard washer bottle is massive, 7 litres, and a pretty good setup, I think I'll just reuse that for the methanol tank. Pretty weird this one, but I wonder what these two pipes were on the washer bottle, because obviously you got the one pump there, second pump there. It's like, what the bloody hell are these? So I had a look, and you got a coiled pipe going down to something, and then it kind of disappears, and then you can see another one going back up, which I presumed was some kind of pump, but I couldn't exactly see where it leads to, so I wasn't 100%. So I undid them, because obviously I didn't care about washer bottles, and followed the pipes in here. It was these two, and what comes out of them is coolant, and it's like, what the hell? So I followed the pipes back, and basically those pipes are coolant pipes that run into the wash bottle to stop it freezing up, basically. So if you've got really bad weather, it defrosts the frozen washer fluid really quickly, which is clever, but I don't need that, so it's all going, which enables me to remove all of this to give extra room, because basically it's teed off the electric auxiliary water pump there, and it tees back in just, where is it, just there, and that's it. It serves no purpose, it's just apart from the defrosting, and it removes about, I don't know, 8 foot of hose that's just going around the engine bay. Because this is the thing, I'm doing most of this to simplify it as much as possible, to make it easier to work on and less to go wrong. You don't, you know, it's the same as any race car, rally car, whatever. They remove everything that's not needed for the job in hand, which is, on a production car, most of the stuff. You know, the water cooling on the turbos gets binned, everything that's not needed. And it's exactly the same thing I do, because it just makes your life a lot easier and makes the setup a lot more efficient and a lot less things to go wrong. Because millions of leaks equals crap performance, and that's what so many people's crappy performing cars are. It's lots of little boost leaks and this, that, the other. So yeah, this fixes it. Underneath the cam covers, it's looks all really good condition, to be honest. I'm really chuffed with that, and it's a decent design. These are weird, one on each side. You'd think that would be something, But if you look underneath it, it's hollow. It's nothing to do with the breather or nothing. It's just a hollow opening, and it's got like a cast circle under there, like you'd think you'd put a like a filler cap, but it's just blank on both sides. It's almost like a great place to put some, you know, an aftermarket breather outlet, like a big bloody dash 12 from each side to a catch tank. You'd kind of think maybe they did that for using these in race cars, but to the best of my memory, they didn't use the M113 in race cars. They used the older version, the four valve one, where this is like 3 valve. This is 2 inlet, 1 exhaust, and they use these right up to like the SLR crazy bloody McLarens and stuff, but never in race cars. So I don't really know why they're there, but if I ever wanted to in the future, I could easily add breather bungs to that, but I don't think I need to at the moment. What else can I show you? Oh, I know. This is the plug leads. It's a V8 with 16 plug leads, and the reason is it's twin plug per cylinder, which is good. Means a bit of a fucker to change the plugs, and it's cost me, I don't know, about 150 quid in plugs. But yeah, 16 plug leads for a V8. So there is 1, 2 spark plugs per cylinder. They're a bugger to get to, but they're doable. Coil packs, a bit like an LS, where they're mounted on the cam cover, well, rocker cover on LS, but same thing. And again, they're twin coils, so 2 outlets. So 8 coils, 8 cylinders, 16 plugs, 16 leads. This is the throttle body, electronic jobber. Again, with a port I need to modify. Good size though. I'm not in any rush to change that. I don't know how big that is, but that looks about 3 inch, so it's more than enough. This is the fuel rail. Move, Doris. Move. Sit. Sit. Anyway, this is the fuel rail. These are standard, a returnless system. That's the inlet, and there's no return. And a returnless system basically means you've got the regulator right by the fuel tank. And we did that on the last Mercedes V8 Turbo, that E55, and it works, but it's not fucking ideal. I'm not a big fan of it. But these have that on the end, which is like a tyre valve, and that's like a little Schrader valve in it. And I reckon if I take that valve out and possibly bore out the internal diameter to make it a bit bigger, just with a drill or something, I can use that as the return line, so put a regulator and everything on the end and turn it into a normal return system. I'm not 100%, but I reckon that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try it at least and have a look. And if not, I might just cut that off, and I think that's Ali, so get somebody to weld me a normal fitting on, because I can't take weld. I wish I could, but I can't. I've actually ordered different plugs. I mean, these are the standard ones. They're like, well, in NGK terms, they're heat range 6, so not terrible, but not brilliant. I think they're heat range 6. I don't know. The E55 compressor ones are 6, and I think these are as well. But I've got some colder ones, 7s. They're it's the same fitment as like a Evo 9 and a few other cars, where it's got the really long thread of the plug. But yeah, it's that plug. I got, like, it's a bit of a pain buying 16 of them, but I've paid about 150 quid for 16 NGK, 7 Iridium, blah blah blahs, whatever, which should be fine. 7 heat range is plenty enough for this with some boost, and especially with the methanol that I'm going to run. And yeah, I think that's where we are right now. This car is a bit of a rusty piece of shit, but generally in the important parts it's not bad, and I really like working on it. It's I've grown quite fond of this piece of crap, so I might well patch up the rest, not to make it pretty, just to make it stay alive and keep this thing going a while. But well, we'll see. But yeah, that's where we are so far.